Madison Seminary, located near the banks of Lake Erie in Madison, Ohio, has served many functions since its inception. Initially opened as a boys' school in 1847, the name seminary was derived from its original purpose, to train young men to enter priesthood. The Women's Relief Corps, also known as the WRC, took it over in 1891, at which time it became a home for widows of Civil War soldiers and renamed the Madison Home. By 1898, the building was running out of space for all of the displaced women in need of homes, so a second wing was built, and it became known as the Ohio Cottage. The original portion of the building retained the name of the Civil War Wing. In 1904, the Women's Relief Corps donated the building to the state of Ohio, as they could no longer afford to maintain it. Under state control, additional people were taken in for refuge, including retired and injured soldiers, mothers of soldiers, and Army nurses. The WRC portion of the facility ceased operation in 1962 when it was taken over entirely by the Ohio Department of Mental Hygiene and Corrections. They continued to take in women, mostly elderly, and began admitting mentally ill and criminally insane patients, both men and women. During this era, the facility also started housing women incarcerated at the reformatory in Marysville, Ohio, who had been deemed honor inmates. The inmates lived in the basement of the Civil War Wing and were tasked with working duties, primarily through caring for the elderly patients there. Under ownership of the Ohio Health Department, the facility became known as Opportunity Village. Despite its hopeful name, it is reported that neglect and horrible treatment was rampant during this time. The attic was transformed into a portion of the building known as the asylum. It is there that patients were crammed into tight spaces with 4 mattresses per room and isolated from the rest of the world. Alleged sex parties, rape, and forced abortions were also said to have taken place within the asylum. Opportunity Village was closed in 1975, and in 1980 the Madison Police Department bought the building. It only functioned as a police department for 10 years. It is said that many police officers began refusing to work in the building, and some staff even quit their jobs due to the amount of paranormal activity that they experienced there. It is believed that there were at least 200 deaths within the walls of this building. Burial plots are located near the property, which serve as the final resting place of 26 of the women who lived there as its time as the Women's Relief Corps. Their gravestones, all labeled with WRC. Though many interesting women cohabitated here, one woman of particular note was Elizabeth Stiles. Elizabeth witnessed her husband's murder within her own home, shot in the head by Confederates right in front of her. She exacted revenge by working directly with Abraham Lincoln for the Union as a Civil War spy. After her service to the war effort was complete, she was honorably discharged with the title of Army Nurse and housed at the Ohio Cottage until her death in 1898. Paranormal activity within this building include disembodied voices and screams, shadow figures, and unexplained sensations of touching, scratching, and even biting reported by countless visitors. The current owner of the building, Adam Kimmel, actually called the police one evening when he heard a distinct scream inside the building. The police found no one on or around the premises to account for the startling scream. Adam obtained the building in 2016 and uses it to host events, day tours, evening flashlight tours, and of course, investigate the paranormal. Adam says the activity there always seems to be evolving. In more recent years, it has appeared to be a sort of portal where the dead loved ones of visitors to the building sometimes even come through. Some of the most notable hauntings within the seminary include Sarah's room, the whole room, the attic asylum, and the dolls. The dolls. One of the dolls that resides at Madison Seminary has actually earned a certificate for being one of the most haunted dolls in Northeast Ohio. Her name is Maddie. It is said that she has 5 to 6 spirits attached to her, but no one knows who or why. She is said to have come with the building, and it was said of her, if you take care of her, she will take care of you.
So before Adam bought a nursery, like for gardening, owned this, and they use this just for like storage.
Can I take your picture?
And after he purchased, when he investigated here before he bought it, he knew of Maddie. But then when he moved in, when he got it, she was gone. He's like, oh well, and didn't think anything more about it. A few weeks later, a couple of the Spanish women from the nursery come over holding her.
Her arm just moved. Her arm went from up here to
it.
down
I
here.
heard it. Well, hello, Maddie. That's the first time I've ever seen her move.
Oh, I got chills. Hi,
that was the plan that
Maddie.
she would move to. Later, a couple of the Spanish women from the nursery. Later, a couple of the Spanish women from the nursery. Later, a couple of the Spanish women from the nursery.
Sarah's room. On the second floor of the Ohio Cottage wing, paranormal investigators commonly get equipment responses in this room that indicate an 8-year-old girl named Sarah haunts it. However, activity in this room has been known to take a sinister turn, one that suggests that Sarah is not an 8-year-old girl at all, but perhaps a more menacing force. Childlike playful responses can quickly change into angry energy, including insulting or threatening words and people being scratched or bitten. Some have theorized she may be a dementia patient who believes she is a child. Others have even speculated that Sarah is actually a demon pretending to be a little girl in order to entice people to interact. Our tour guide told us that unexplained sounds and shadows will emerge from the hallway and up and down the hall outside of this room. And some actually believe that the closet in this room is a portal from which wayward spirits can come and go as they please. The whole room, also known as the buried room, is in the basement of the Ohio Cottage wing. It is shrouded in mystery and the belief that a woman is buried under the floor. Paranormal activity in this room includes a male and female voice that eagerly come through on EVP recordings or spirit boxes. Some refer to it as the dark room, as a pitch black mist has been known to form and black out the entire room, particularly when questions are being asked surrounding the mystery of the buried woman.
So we call this room the hole room, because we have a hole in the floor. It used to be called the buried room. When Adam first purchased the building back in 2016, the current owner is Adam Kimmel. When he purchased it back in 2016, we'd host those history flashlight tours, and locals would come through and be like, hey, did you know you have a home buried in your floor? So we'd pull them to the side and we talked to them, and they all told pretty much generally the same story, which was around the turn of the century, a teacher's aide was having an affair with a higher up. She had gotten pregnant, was coming to tell him and his wife she was pregnant, and this side was being built, and she possibly could have been here. So we had a TV show out, and we told them about all that stuff, and they brought out 2 trainee cadaver dogs, and those 2 dogs went to the whole building, found nothing. One hit like right in this area, and then one hit right over there. Then they did ground penetrating radar to the whole basement area, and where we dug, they actually went down 2.5, on the screen, 2.5 foot down. There was a anomaly that was like size of a kid's mini football. So they asked if they could dig. We let them dig. They went down 2.5 foot, didn't find anything. Went down almost 3 foot, still didn't find anything. And the excavator's like, it doesn't make any sense. There should have been something here. So they went and got our active canine unit. As soon as that dog got to where Grandpa's at, he starts pulling and barking in this direction. So they just let him go. He comes running down here, runs around, goes over here. So a couple different things with that. It is quite possible that somebody was there and moved. As you decay, possible little things could fall off and they can miss it, and then we missed it when we dug too. So we do have the dirt. It's actually in the laundry wing across the hall. We've been sifting through it slowly. So far we have not found anything. Or maybe we shouldn't listen to technology, maybe we should listen to the dogs.
Yeah.
So I would have dug over here,
Yeah.
in my honest opinion. But especially since it was 3 dogs.
Right.
I could see if like one hit over there and then one hit out there, you know, but 3 right there.
To this little area.
Yeah. So we've been tunneling both this way and that way. And we're getting pretty close to where that's at. We don't want to tear up the whole floor if we don't have to.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So we used to really call this room the dark room. Some people still do. Because when you're asking questions about that happening, anything happening with her, usually 2 spirits will come through, a male and a female, and then sometimes it will get so dark in here that you can no longer see these windows. And they are front facing to the building, so there's always a street light that comes through them. It's not super bright, but you can see it. There is an older lady that hangs down here sometimes, and she will answer you too, but you'll be able to tell that she has like that old woman voice. You can just tell it's like an old woman, like a little dainty voice. And she says things like, I'm just listening.
Anything weird about this loose brick or those
So that was the crew. Because that wall doesn't make sense to this building at all.
Okay.
It's newer brick than the old brick. It's not structural. It does actually not go up all the way to the ceiling. If you look at the outside, there's no reason for it. So one of the bricks was a little bit chipped away. So one night we asked the owner, can we go ahead and see what's behind here? So we pulled one out, and what's behind there is more brick.
Oh.
brick upon brick.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the weird thing is when Adam first purchased the building, it used to be the police department in the 1980s. And when he first purchased it, one of the police officers said, hey, can I come tell you some stories about when we were there? And he was like kind of scared the whole time he was here. Adam was kind of like on edge, like he didn't really want to be here. And when they get outside, he goes to get in his car, and he says, hey, Adam. And he goes, what? He goes, I guarantee if you tear apart that building brick by brick, you will find bones. I'm like, brick by brick, huh?
Yeah.
The attic. This area served as the asylum ward when owned by the Ohio Department of Health and housed the most mentally ill. A large recreation room is where these segregated patients would have spent some of their time, eating meals, playing games, or visiting with family members for those fortunate enough to receive visitors. When not in the rec room, they were crammed into tiny rooms, 4 mattresses to a room. There is no documentation available on the patients who were housed there. Many records were burned prior to the police department taking ownership of the building. It is thought that children would have been housed there as well. The current owner and staff have named the rooms of the attic according to the activity that is experienced there. The rooms within the attic include the doctor's office. The spirit of a surgeon who has made it known he detests being called doctor and wants to be called surgeon sometimes comes through in this room. Women frequently feel uncomfortable in the room to the point that some leave it. The door to the medicine cabinet, which is heavy and difficult to pull open manually, has been known to open on its own. Despite lack of documentation, it has been reported by past staff and patients that forced abortions were taking place there. It has also been said that illicit sex parties and rapes were inflicted upon patients in the attic. Once admitted to the attic, the patient would only see the attic. The only time they weren't up there was when they were in a body bag. The mind warp room. The spirit of a woman who is able to make others feel her feelings resides in this room. The feelings are typically intense, encompassing those of pain, sadness, and anger. People who visit this room have also been known to lose time, forgetting large portions of their evening after visiting that room, as though someone had hijacked their mind for a time. The throat punch room. A threatening energy within this room has been known to bite, hiss, and growl. People have even reported the sensation of a sudden heavy pressure on their neck, as though they were being punched in the throat. Johnny's room. Believed to host the ghost of a little boy, investigators commonly get the name Johnny here. Johnny is known to be fickle. He tends to communicate with those who are respectful and prefers those who knock before they come in and introduce themselves. If he doesn't want to talk, he has been known to slam the door to his room. A common occurrence that no earthly force has been able to explain, as the door is heavy and steady on its hinge, and no airflow is evident in that area at any time. The Peepers Hallway. Just outside of Johnny's room is a long stretch of hall with several rooms along the corridor. It is commonly reported that childlike twin shadows will peek their heads out of the doorways in unison. They will do it upon request for some who ask. They also are known for making knocking sounds. Elizabeth Stiles began her adult life as both a nurse and a teacher. During the Civil War, her husband Jacob made himself known as an avid Union supporter around their homestead in Shawnee. One unsuspecting day in October 1862, a group of men dressed in Union uniforms approached Elizabeth and Jacob's home. When Mr. Stiles answered the door, one of the men, George Todd, stepped up to Jacob and asked him where his politics lay. He answered the man, Union. Todd raised his gun and fatally shot Jacob in the head. Then, to be sure his death was sealed, a second man placed the muzzle of his gun into Jacob's mouth and pulled the trigger again. Elizabeth, who was standing nearby, witnessed the entirety of her husband's atrocious murder. She ran for her children, but the leader of the gang, Charles Quantrill, and a few of his men cornered Elizabeth in her tiny home. Elizabeth's daughter Clara was a spectator of what happened next and later told the tale. As one of the men placed his pistol to Elizabeth's temple, Quantrill halted him and looked her up and down with cold eyes. Elizabeth stared back without flinching. Quantrill snapped his fingers and commanded, "Let her go, boys. She's too pretty to shoot." They demanded that she instead deliver the news to the Union effort in Kansas City that they had killed 2 of their supporting citizens within a week. After Jacob's murder, Confederate sympathizers threatened Elizabeth and her 3 children and even placed a $1,000 price on her head. Army officers got word of the bounty and were so concerned for her safety that they sent a detachment of soldiers to bring Elizabeth and her 3 children to Fort Leavenworth for protection. Elizabeth was forced to leave the home that she had spent years tending and where she had spent many contented hours with her husband and children. Shortly after Elizabeth and her children arrived at Fort Leavenworth, she received a letter informing her that President Lincoln had important work for her to do. The fact that she was delivered this letter indicates that she was a well-known person, and her reaction to the letter proved that she was a determined and courageous woman who lived by her principles. Her family tradition says that after Jacob's murder, Elizabeth was determined to avenge his death and carry on his legacy of Union ideals, and did so by working as a spy for the Union. After she enrolled her daughter Sarah and son George in school in Washington, D.C., Elizabeth and her 13-year-old daughter Clara began their spying careers. Elizabeth posed as an old pipe-smoking Southern woman and nurse, and Clara played her granddaughter. They moved throughout the South pretending they were looking for Clara's wounded father, a Confederate soldier. She also posed as a Southern military nurse while she gathered information for the Union. Newspaper stories detailing her spying methods reveal that she often hid secret messages in her bonnet. Elizabeth and Clara operated in 19 different states and Canada. Her love of country and hope of ultimate revenge for the murder of her husband sustained her through the hardships of travel and exposure to all types of weather. Many times, she even faced death, including when the Confederates captured her during the siege of Richmond in April of 1865. But her quick wit and cool demeanor always ensured her survival. Elizabeth was also arrested in Missouri on the suspicion of being a Union spy. During her incarceration, she convinced General Sterling Price that she was actually a Confederate spy. With her convincing cleverness and charm in her favor, he personally equipped both Elizabeth and Clara with better horses, firearms, and supplies before he sent them on their way. In addition to her spying missions, Elizabeth often dressed the wounds of Yankee soldiers and in emergencies She even performed minor surgeries. Throughout the years that Elizabeth and Clara worked as spies, they collected valuable information that contributed to the victory of the North. Elizabeth's story shows how the strength, fortitude, and intelligence of such a woman can help change the world. In May of 2025, our group rented out the Madison Seminary for a private overnight paranormal investigation. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notifications bell so that you don't miss the other mind-blowing experiences we had while there.